You're listening to the Daily Business News podcast from BBC Radio Ulster. Within the last hour or so, Toyota has said it's going to recall 2.7 million cars worldwide. Of that, 500,000 of them are from Europe. Apparently it's due to problems with the steering wheel and the water pump system. There's been no accidents, but just complaints. The recall affects 9 models, including Toyota Corolla and the second generation Prius. This comes just weeks after the firm recalled more than 7 million vehicles worldwide over faulty window switches. Toyota, of course, is Japan's biggest car maker, and they seem to have been plagued by problems for these last few years.
Oh, it's a huge problem for the brand, isn't it?
They're
really struggling to recover.
They really are, exactly. They had, as you say, kind of the brand's been doubly hit, not only difficulties with the cars themselves, but then they had the Japanese earthquake to contend with a few years ago when exports were really hit there. So they're certainly struggling financially, and this isn't going to help. Now, workers across the European Union are staging a series of protests and strikes against rising unemployment and austerity measures. We'll have plenty more on that throughout the programme. It's been called the Day of Action and Solidarity, and it's calling on leaders to address growing social anxiety and abandon austerity measures. Some 40 groups from 23 countries are involved in today's protests. Strikes are expected in Spain, Greece, Portugal and Italy, with other protests planned in Belgium, Germany, France and, of course, the UK, and some Eastern EU states too. Now, we all know that we're being pressured to recycle more, encouraged to recycle more, should I say. And probably for most businesses, the biggest pressure really is the cost of throwing away rubbish. It actually makes business sense to cut the amount of rubbish your organisation throws away. One man who knows all about that is Neil McCauley from McQuillan EnviroCare. Good morning, Neil.
Good morning.
Neil, you've been working with Immink, the pharmaceutical firm, to try and get them recycling more.
Yeah, that's right. We took a contract on with Immink to try and improve their recycling rate, and with that, both improve their environmental and economic standing. And from that, we put a few procedures in place, changed traditional skips into wheelie bins, put a man on site full time. And from that, we've went to a 70% recycling rate from 19% in a few months.
And recycling firms seems to be a bit of a niche. Are you quite a new firm? There seem to be quite a few springing up at the moment.
Yeah, there's a few. Well, we're a well-established firm in Northern Ireland. We do total waste management, including hazardous and recycling waste, but certainly it's a thing companies are looking at the minute. And from that, there's a few other companies out there doing that. But as a company, it's something we specialise in.
And it costs firms to recycle, though. I mean, even if they do save money in the long run by not throwing rubbish away and having to pay for that, it is an expensive sort of upfront cost, isn't it?
It can be in setup, but the long-term benefits are there. As if companies segregate on site, recycle, improve the quality of the waste they are producing, certainly they can turn the corner there and get savings on their waste as opposed to a big cost.
Thanks very much. Neil McCauley there from McQuillan EnviroCare, making a little bit of a difference to the recycling outlay. Inflation figures were out yesterday. The cost of living has increased over the last month by 2.7%. We often hear how things are getting worse for those aged over 55. In particular, if you're on a fixed pension, you can really feel the squeeze. But interestingly, today we hear that what's known as silver RPI, that's RPI based on inflation figures based on goods bought by over 55s in particular, is actually below the rate for the rest of the population. Gordon Morris is the Managing Director of Age UK Enterprises. Good morning, Gordon.
Morning.
Why do you think it is that things are getting perhaps expensive more slowly if you're in the older age bracket?
Right. Well, actually, I think it is a temporary position. I'm expecting that it's going to go up again very shortly because we've seen all the recent price increases from the energy providers. And actually, what I want to do is just go back to the beginning as to why we actually created the silver RPI. When you look at the traditional retail price index declarations, they tend to include interest rates on loan repayments. And of course, an awful lot of older people might not have mortgages anymore or have scaled them back, so they don't feel the benefit of the interest rates being at an all-time low. However, interest rates do have a significant impact on those people who have saved, because not so long ago, the interest you got on your savings with banks and building societies would have topped up pensions, which we know are very meagre restricted income anyway. So we've been pleased to see inflation rates coming down. However, they're going up again, And we're looking at a winter where we're going to see increases in fuel prices, and we know that food prices continue to increase. So, I mean, what we're saying is they will go up. Now, the effect of the silver RPI, by making this a retail price index that is appropriate to people in later life, it actually means that people 60 and above are probably spending more than £1,000 a year than the other RPI predictors are expecting. And that's significant when you're on a fixed and restricted income.
Looking at the rises there, Gordon, that we did see yesterday, a lot of that was put down to the fact that, tuition fees in the rest of the UK have increased so much, not so much here in Northern Ireland, and also household energy prices have increased more elsewhere in the UK than here. But one of the big things, of course, that has impacted people is food costs, as you say. I mean, that does seem to be rising rapidly.
Yes, it does. And I think, when you look at these increases and the impact it has on people on restricted income, and of course an awful lot of grandparents are helping out when it comes to university fees and other family support mechanisms, we need to understand the really effect of inflation on people in later life. And I perhaps draw people's attention to a campaign that we're going on with at the moment. And you can get details of this at Age NI's website, which is Let's Talk Money. Because there are ways that by shopping around, you can make that pound in your pocket go just a little bit further. It's not always easy. Some of these opportunities are online, and we do know that a lot of people in later life aren't perhaps online. But with Age NI, we're there to try and help to make the money go as far as possible. Because these are pretty tough times, and it looks like it could be a tough winter as well, with, as we say, increasing food prices, fuel prices, and perhaps inflation heading upwards again.
Gordon, thanks very much for joining us. That's Gordon Morris there, the Managing Director of Age UK Enterprises. Just had results in from Sainsbury's this morning as well. Their profits for the last 6 months have increased by 2.5%. So I'm not sure whether that has anything to do with the fact that inflation's gone up 2.7%. Obviously, the supermarket's not doing too badly as a result of those rising food prices. Looking at the markets, the FTSE's opened down this morning it's currently down 28 points at 57.58. And on the currency markets, the pound's worth $1.58 or €1.24, making the euro worth 80 pence today. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I'm always keen to hear from businesses, so do get in touch with me and let me know how your business is getting on at the moment. Email me at colletta.smith@bbc.co.uk.